right, folks. I've already done this. As you can see, I have these labs saved here, but I'm gonna record this video of me going through the entirety of the lab right now as well. Okay, so we've now gotten ourselves into the code editor. Okay, code.earthengine.google.com, and the first thing that we are going to do here is we're going to scroll in and out a little bit. I'm using my mouse wheel. Depending on how you're set up, you may have to use some arrow keys and a shift. Hopefully all of you have a mouse. So I'm going to navigate over here to where I live, which is in Bennington area. However, I anticipate that each of you will have a different area that you show. Okay. So one of the things that we are going to be doing here is working with elevation and remotely sensed data. And so this will help us to understand topography a little bit and give us some really cool visuals. Okay. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to actually look for this raster data set. Okay. All right. And we're going to use this 30-meter digital elevation one. So I just started searching SRTM and this popped up. I'm going to click on import and it's going to automatically import it for me. If I'm interested in information about my data, I can click here and I will get a description, see some information on the bands. This particular one has only one. Okay, terms of use and appropriate citation. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this. So now if I was interested, the first step we're going to actually do is this, you'll see imports it just simply as an image. I'm going to go ahead and change this to SRTM and then I'm going to run it. Okay, nothing happens. It's a good thing. If we got an error, we know we did something wrong. But just to check, I'm really quickly going to just say, hey, print me into the console this SRTM video. Sure, every line of code has a semicolon at the end, and then we're going to click run. So now what's happened is here in the console, I've gotten this pop-up where you can see all the bands. Okay, again, there's only one in this instance, as well as the object properties. I'm going to expand this a bit so we can see it for the moment. Okay, so this gives us some information. It's a description. So we get some date information. We can come down here and we can get links to the sample data, thumbnails, things like this. So this is really just meta information about our image. Okay. All right. So as a first step, I'm now going to add this SRTM image that we've imported as a layer on the map. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to say map add layers. And then I'm going to say SRTM. Okay. Now I've just told it add to this map a layer of this image. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run again. Oh, and we have this big grayscale image. So the reason this happened is that we didn't specify any parameters for the maximum and minimum reflective values that we want to see here. So I'm going to go ahead and add those now. For this particular one, since we're dealing with elevation, we're actually looking at above seafloor elevation. So you could, in theory, put any values in here into the map parameter, but I'm going to just go with a smaller one. Okay, so now this looks familiar. We've got map.add layer, SRTM. What we're going to do here in this parenthesis now is we're going to continue to add some of our parameters. Okay, I add parameters by giving these squiggly line brackets right here. Okay, so I'm going to say the minimum I want to see is 0. Now, if we had an area below, we may want to see that too. Okay, and we'll say 1,300 feet. All right. And we'll just take a look at what happens when we do this. All right. So now definitely the map has changed a little bit. We can see elevation here. We're still looking at the same area. And if I want to toggle off my layers really quickly to just know where I am, I can do that. So I'm going to zoom back down into my region and I'm going to add that second layer back in. Okay. So here we have it. Again, it's off. This is Bennington. And this is what it looks like. So these higher, lighter values, these are the mountain peaks, and these darker, lower areas, these are mostly rivers in this instance, but these are your below sea level places. So these are the river runs through it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. In the lab, you'll see this area. It's mostly a photograph of the Chesapeake Bay and Lake Michigan, or Lake Ontario, apologies. And then as you can see, if we scroll out further, this, it doesn't actually give us the water depth. So we're really just looking at geography here. So I'm going to go back over here to my area. I'm going to uncheck this just to make sure. Yeah, I'm in the general vicinity. Okay, great. So now I can also adjust the value of these if I wanted to, if I still wanted to have some insight into, where we are right here. And actually this helps a lot to understand the makeup and the geography of a place. Okay. Alrighty. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to actually add some more features and descriptive information to our code here. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing again. Okay, I'm going to do minimum 0. In the lab, I say minimum 0. You're welcome to play with these values. Just know that, yes, Mount Everest is, 30,000 or whatever feet. But if we were to run this, there are so few places that actually have that elevation where, it washes it out a little bit. So if I were to go back down to 2000 and rerun this, see, it's a much different picture. Again, these are the Rockies. These are our higher peaks. I do specify 1300. We could even in the max and the min. Okay, so this is even a more distinct image. All right, but for the purposes of this lab, we're just going to set it at 1 and 1300. Run that. All right, still gives us a pretty good view. Okay, obviously this all area is washed out because a great portion of it is above 1300. Okay, we could even do 3000 if we wanted to and get an idea of that. Okay, for us here in Vermont, we don't have peaks that are that big. So maybe 2000 max. I think our highest peak is 1500 elevation, or at least driving. So I'm going to go back to the 1300 just because I happen to like the way that this looked. I thought it was very visually distinct. Okay, again, I'm going to toggle these layers off real quick. Zoom back to my general area. Okay, there we go. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to name my layers. Okay, and I do this by adding it this way. Elevation above sea level. Okay, I'm going to close that and I'm going to rerun this. You'll notice that I got an error because I added an S here. So when things go wrong, you'll get a console-based message right there and it'll tell you, hey, you messed up. Okay, so now I come back over to my layers and you see I've got this one that says elevation above sea level. So what I've done here is these are all individual layers. I've added all 3 of them to the map. As you can see, layer 1, layer 2, it defaults to, but I can also specify the name by adding it here, elevation above sea level. Okay. So this is the big piece of the first one. It's just becoming familiar with this, playing around a little bit. We're also going to add comments here. So this is print the image to console. Okay. Going to add map layer and add map layer with value bands, and this last one add map layer with title. Okay, so again, these are comments. The computer ignores them, or the program ignores them as it runs. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do a little bit is we're going to play with some colors. Okay. So again, the way in which we specify different parameters in the code here is going to impact what shows up here. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to do adding a color palette. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this for simplicity and add it there. You can manually type it all out if you want to. Okay. So here I'm going to go back. I'm going to stay inside my squiggly brackets because what I'm doing here is I'm defining the value parameters for the map. Whereas here I am naming it. So any parameter that we want to be reflected here on the map, we need to add inside these squiggly brackets. Okay, so I'm going to let it know I want a palette. And this goes into a square bracket. We're not getting into JavaScript or Python too deeply in this class, but we are using it right now. And so if you'd like more information, it is linked. Please look it up. Okay, so now I'm going to say blue, yellow, and red, just for fun. Okay, I'm going to run this. I'm actually going to change my name, and I'm going to call this true color. Okay. And now I'm going to run it again. Oh, unexpected token. What did I do wrong? Let's see. I'm missing something. Oh, I forgot a colon. Colons can totally shift everything. Okay. Cool. So now what we have here is this really striking visual map. Okay, we've got a lot of color in here. As you can see, the deeper areas below sea level are blue, the mid-range is yellow, and that's red. Now, in theory, I could adjust the colors. I could do a false color if I wanted to. So I have that option available to me. And let's see. I am going to do that next. Okay. Okay. So this is where we are now going to start playing with some of the other features available to us. Okay, we're going to look at hill shading and slope really quickly. Okay. So in order to do this, we do need to pull in a new variable called hill shade. Okay. Okay. So we are saying effectively apply this to our existing image. Okay. And we're going to add that layer to the map. Okay. And make sure that I put again my parameters here. And in this one, I'm going to give it a slightly different parameter. Just because we're dealing with slope here and we're not dealing with elevation above sea level, this is a smaller distribution of potential options. Okay. I'm going to name this layer hill shade for simplicity. All right. I'm going to select and run this. Okay, you'll see it's going through all the layer making here. And it's ended on this last one of hill shade. Okay. So you'll see all the layers render as I zoom in. You'll see here, it looks almost like the moon. All right. And as you get closer, more detail is available. And now you can see some of these ridges and peaks. Okay. Similarly, if we wanted to look at slope, we could do this as well. So again, we're going to pull in a new variable, which is called slope. Okay. Okay. We've told where we're looking. And then we add the layer. Okay. So similar to elevation and hillshade, we have to specify a range. Here we're going to use 0 to 20. And whenever you see those lines about grading, this is where, to give you an idea. Okay. Again, I'm going to add a name to my layer for slope, close brackets, and run it all again. Okay. So this is my favorite one. I love the little, squiggly lines that happen. Okay, and so if I wanted to just see that on my zoom in and out, so this is, I think, to me, one of the coolest ways to render the image. Okay, so there we are. There's Vermont right here, this little hilly area. And then we've got, Boston down here, New York City in here, Lake Ontario, and this whole region of upstate New York. Okay, so this is really the first one. Again, make sure you add hillshade and adding slope. Okay, so I'm going to save as with a description. This is my Rec 3 and SRTM. So this is the final save, and I'll click OK. And then it'll pop up right here. Okay, so that is the first part of the exercise. Now I'm going to reset my script right here, and I'm going to pull in the next one. So for that first one, we were just working with single band images, and this one we're going to actually pull in an image from the Sentinel-2 that has a much higher band. I'm going to stop this, and there'll be another video following.